Today we're going to recap and review the 2007 American romance noir film titled Atonement. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The Atonement movie recap starts in the year 1935, focusing on 13-year-old Briony. She's preparing a play she wrote herself for her elder brother Leon's welcome dinner. While searching for her mother to show her the play, she encounters Robbie, a young gardener. Briony invites him to watch her play that evening, but Robbie, being busy, promises to read the script if he can't attend. When Briony reads the play to her mother and receives praise, she feels elated. On the same day, Briony's cousins, Lola and her twin brothers Jackson and Pierrot arrive to stay at their house due to their parents' impending divorce. Briony assigns them roles in her play, but they show little interest and head off for a swim instead. Disappointed, Briony watches them leave and later hears a buzzing sound near the window. Looking out, she sees Robbie and her elder sister Cecilia by the fountain. She observes a scene where Cecilia removes her outer clothing and jumps into the fountain to retrieve something, then storms off with an object in hand. Misinterpreting the situation, Briony assumes Robbie ordered Cecilia to undress. Earlier, Cecilia had approached Robbie near the fountain with a vase and flowers. Their conversation reveals that Leon is bringing his friend Paul Marshall to dinner and that Robbie, who studied at Cambridge with Cecilia, aspires to become a doctor. While filling the vase with water, a struggle over the vase causes it to break, with a piece falling into the fountain. Cecilia, annoyed, removes her outer clothing, retrieves the piece, and storms off with the vase. Briony, after witnessing this, retreats to the forest to practice her play. Meanwhile, Cecilia hears Leon's car arriving with Paul. Leon introduces Paul to Cecilia, and they spend the afternoon by the lake. Leon informs Cecilia that he has invited Robbie to dinner, to which Cecilia objects, but eventually remains silent. Paul, while touring the house, encounters Lola and the twins in a room. His behavior towards Lola is flirtatious, though the 15-year-old Lola doesn't notice. Elsewhere, Robbie drafts an apology letter to Cecilia for his earlier behavior. As a joke, he types a letter with inappropriate language, but ultimately writes a formal handwritten apology. However, he mistakenly gives Briony the inappropriate letter to deliver to Cecilia. Realizing his error, Robbie tries to stop Briony, but she doesn't hear him and reads the letter on her way. At the house, Briony hands the letter to Cecilia and then engages in conversation with Leon. Cecilia, upon reading the letter, asks Briony if she read it, but Briony denies it and retreats to her room. Later, Lola visits Briony, upset over her brother's pranks. Briony shares the contents of Robbie's letter with Lola, who labels Robbie as a sex maniac. As Briony prepares for dinner, she finds Cecilia's pin outside the library and follows it inside, where she witnesses an intimate moment between Robbie and Cecilia. Misinterpreting the scene, Briony assumes Robbie is assaulting Cecilia. In reality, Robbie had arrived to explain the letter mix-up, and Cecilia had taken him to the library, where she expressed her embarrassment over the earlier fountain incident. Robbie approaches Cecilia, and they share a passionate moment, confessing their love for each other. During this, Briony walks in, and Robbie and Cecilia quickly leave the library, avoiding eye contact. At the dinner table, everyone is present except the twins. Briony's mother sends her to fetch them, but instead of finding them, she discovers a letter stating that the twins are heading back home. Briony shows the letter to the family, and they form search teams to look for the twins in the forest. While searching, Briony hears noises near the lake. Shining her torch, she sees someone fleeing from Lola. When she reaches Lola, Lola reveals that someone had assaulted her by covering her eyes. Briony claims she saw who it was and is certain it was Robbie, even though she hadn't actually seen the person's face. She also tells Lola that she had witnessed Robbie assaulting Cecilia in the library. Lola, unable to identify her assailant due to the darkness, trusts Briony's account. Leon and Cecilia bring Lola back home, and Leon calls the doctors and police. When the police arrive, Briony gives a statement asserting she clearly saw Robbie. While Cecilia steps out to smoke, Briony sneaks into her room, retrieves Robbie's letter, and hands it to the police as evidence. Robbie, still out searching, becomes the prime suspect. When he returns with the twins, the family's suspicions deepen. Briony's mother sends her to bed, and from her window, Briony watches as the police arrest Robbie. Cecilia embraces him one last time before he is taken away. Time passes, and 4 years later, World War II is underway. Robbie is shown stranded in France with two soldiers. When locals offer them food, Robbie explains that he got separated from his unit and remained in France. After eating, the soldiers lie down to sleep and ask Robbie how he knows French. He reveals he learned learned it in prison and shares that he was given a choice: remain in prison or fight in the war. He chose the latter. As Robbie drifts off to sleep, he recalls meeting Cecilia 6 months earlier. Initially awkward, they reconcile and reaffirm their love, with Robbie promising to stay with her during his next leave. In the present, Robbie is shown injured with a worsening chest wound. Despite his condition, he continues traveling on foot with the soldiers. During their journey, they pass through a forest where Robbie sees the bodies of young girls, bringing tears to his eyes. He recalls a memory with Briony by a lake in Spain, where she asked if he would save her if she drowned. Thinking she was joking, Robbie said yes, only to hear her jump into the water. He saved her, but while Briony was thrilled, Robbie was furious at her recklessness and walked away. The three soldiers continue their journey to Dunkirk, where they find other British soldiers by the sea. They are informed that wounded soldiers will be left behind, while others will be gradually evacuated to London. The area is crowded with nearly 3,000 soldiers. Robbie and his companions decide to spend the night there. Robbie imagines his mother caring for him and, as he sleeps, has flashbacks of events from 4 years earlier. A fellow soldier wakes him, noting that he was screaming in his sleep. Robbie, looking gravely ill, is reassured that they will leave in the morning and is urged to rest. The scenes shift to 3 weeks earlier at St. Thomas Hospital, where 18-year-old Briony has left Cambridge University to become a nurse. Briony works diligently during the day and writes stories at night after everyone else has gone to sleep. She obtains her sister Cecilia's address from the hospital and writes her numerous letters, apologizing for the mistake she made 4 years ago. However, Cecilia never opens these letters. In them, Briony shares how she tries to stay busy to forget her guilt, but the events from 4 years ago continue to haunt her. Briony is shown to be a dedicated and honest nurse. One day, while organizing supplies with her friend in a storeroom, her friend asks about her love life. Briony confesses that she has never been in love with anyone, but she once had a crush on a boy when she was 11 or 12. To see if he would save her, she jumped into a lake. It's implied that the boy was Robbie, and this is why Briony was always jealous of Cecilia's closeness with him. During their conversation, the hospital alarm goes off, and they rush to the emergency room. Injured British soldiers from France arrive at the hospital, and Briony searches among them for Robbie but doesn't find him. Sometime later, she learns about the marriage of Paul and Lola. At the wedding, when the priest asks if anyone has any objections, Briony recalls her memories from 4 years ago and realizes that the person who assaulted Lola at the lake wasn't Robbie but Paul. Before she can react, the wedding is already over. Disturbed, Briony quickly leaves and goes to Cecilia's home to apologize. To her surprise, Robbie, on leave from the war, is staying with Cecilia. Briony is shocked to see him, while Robbie becomes furious upon seeing her. Briony pleads for forgiveness, but Robbie, still angry, accuses her of ruining his life with her false testimony, leading to years of suffering in prison. Cecilia calms Robbie and asks Briony what she plans to do to make amends. Briony offers to testify, but Cecilia explains that her testimony is no longer legally valid. They initially believe that Danny, another servant, might be guilty, but Briony reveals that it was Paul who assaulted Lola, and that he has since married her. Cecilia points out that Lola, now Paul's wife, can't testify against him, leaving them powerless. Cecilia and Robbie ask Briony to leave them alone forever, and she reluctantly agrees. Decades pass, and Briony, now a 77-year-old novelist, is shown in an interview discussing her latest book, Atonement. She reveals that it is her last novel, but she considers it her first, as she has worked on drafts of it for years, but never dared to publish it before. Briony shares that the novel is based on real events, and that she didn't change any of the characters' names. She waited until Paul and Lola were no longer alive to avoid legal issues, as they were influential figures who could have sued her. Briony reveals that the final scene of the novel, where she seeks forgiveness from Cecilia and Robbie, is fictional. In reality, she never had the courage to face them. Robbie was found dead on June 1st, 1940, the morning he was to be evacuated, and Cecilia died months later on October 31st, 1940, during a bombing at the train station. Briony confesses in her novel that she destroyed their chance at happiness, but chose to depict them as happy in fiction as a way to atone for her actions. The movie concludes with an imagined scene of Robbie and Cecilia playing near the sea and walking together into their house in the forest. Briony's jealousy and a single lie devastated not just 2 but 4 lives. Had she not accused Robbie, he might have achieved his dream of becoming a doctor and lived a happy life with Cecilia. Lola would have known the truth and wouldn't have had to marry her assaulter. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more recaps like this and hit the like button to support us. Until next time, take care.